Nobody's coming to save you. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. Not your friends, not your boss, not even the people who love you. Everyone's fighting their own battles, overwhelmed, exhausted, chasing peace in a chaotic world. They're not sitting around wondering why you haven't followed through on your goals. They're not keeping score of your missed workouts, your half-written dreams, or your someday promises. Because as hard as it is to admit, nobody cares. And that's exactly why you have to. Nobody cares that you're tired, that you didn't sleep well, that you had a rough childhood, that things aren't fair. Life has never been fair. It's been ruthless and unpredictable and unforgiving. And yet, here you are, breathing, alive, capable, not broken, just untested. So stop looking for pity. Stop searching for applause. The world isn't a stage waiting for your success story, and it's a battlefield. And on this battlefield, you either fight or you fold. You want sympathy? You'll find it. But it won't change your life. What changes your life is responsibility. Owning it all. The mistakes, the missed chances, the distractions you gave into, the discipline you refused to build. That's where real power begins. Not in blame, but in brutal honesty. When you stop saying, Dali, they don't support me, and start asking, why haven't I supported myself? You're not owed anything. Not clarity, not energy, not even a second chance. If you want something, you go and get it. Bleed for it. Crawl for it. Rise for it. Not because someone is watching, but because it matters to you. Because there's a voice inside that refuses to quit, even when everything around you is silent. So no, nobody cares. But that's not a curse. That's your call to action. The world doesn't care if you're in pain, but it will respond when you produce results. So don't beg for encouragement. Don't wait for permission. Stand up, get moving. And when the voice of self-doubt whispers, but nobody's cheering, answer it with fire. Good, then I'll cheer for myself, and I'll work harder. Everyone's got a story, a wound, a reason to quit. Life doesn't hand out fair starts. It deals cards at random, and most of the time they're stacked against you. But here's the truth. Your hardships are not your excuse. They're your fuel. You can't let the pain that tried to break you become the reason you stay broken. Let it forge you instead. Your story doesn't disqualify you. It qualifies you. Every setback, every betrayal, every long night and silent failure, that's your edge. That's your grit. That's your fire. You've survived more than most people will ever know, and yet you're still standing. That means something. It means the story isn't over. Unless you decide to quit writing it. Denzel Washington didn't come from a stage of comfort. He came from challenge, from struggle, from rooms where odds were stacked and paths were unclear. But he didn't wait for someone to pull him out. He worked, he sharpened, he rose. Not because it was easy, but because he refused to let hardship become identity. Eminem came from a trailer. Chaos in his bloodline. No father, no help, no guarantees. But pain became his pen. Struggle became his sound. He didn't wait for the world to say, you're ready. He carved his way into it, bleeding truth into every line until the world had to listen. Oprah was told she wasn't good enough, smart enough, pretty enough. She faced abuse, loss, rejection, but she didn't let it define her. She let it refine her. That's the difference. Not in what happened to you, but what you choose to do with it. You can let your struggle be your excuse or your advantage. You can cry about the pain, or you can sweat with it, lift with it, write with it, build with it. The weight that tried to crush you, it can become the resistance that strengthens you. But only if you stop asking, why me? And start saying, watch me. Every scar you carry is a reminder. You're not fragile. You're forged. Every time you've been knocked down wasn't proof that you're weak. It was training. And now you've got the chance to use it, to channel it, to rise with it. The ones who win aren't the ones who had it easiest. They're the ones who used what they had, even if it wasn't much, and built something powerful with it. So take the pain, take the unfairness, take the silence, the trauma, the regret, and set it on fire. Let it push you harder than comfort ever could. Let it make you relentless. Hardships are not the reason you can't. They are the very reason you must. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants the dream life, the body, the money, the respect, the freedom. But wanting is cheap. Everyone wants. What matters is, what are you willing to do for it? See, that's the uncomfortable truth no one wants to face. Desire without discipline is just fantasy. It doesn't matter how badly you want it. It matters how hard you're willing to suffer for it. Wanting to succeed isn't rare. Being willing to suffer for that success, that's what separates the talkers from the doers. You say you want to be in shape? Are you willing to train when you're tired, eat when it's boring, and stay consistent when progress is invisible? You say you want to build a business. Are you willing to hear no 100 times, lose sleep, fail in public, and keep going when no one believes in it but you? You say you want peace of mind, but are you willing to cut out the people, habits, and noise that are destroying it? That's the price. And most people don't want to pay it. They want the outcome, not the effort. They want the trophy, not the training. They want to feel like it. And if they don't, they fold. They convince themselves that they're waiting for the right time, the right mindset, the right energy. But the truth, that moment is never coming. Motivation is a liar. It promises everything, delivers nothing, and disappears the second it gets hard. And the people who chase it are stuck in a loop, starting and stopping and starting again, wondering why nothing changes. Because they're still waiting to feel ready, still waiting to be excited, still waiting to be rescued by a feeling. But winners don't wait for motivation. They train without it. They move without it. They bleed for their goals, even when the results are invisible. Because they know something the world forgets. You don't get what you want. You get what you work for. You want to be different? Don't look at what you desire. Look at what you're willing to endure. Wanting success is meaningless. Are you willing to suffer for it? You want the spotlight? First, walk through the shadows. You want the respect? Earn it when no one's clapping. You want discipline? Build it through boredom, through setbacks, through every moment that sucks, but you show up anyway. There's a massive gap between people who dream and people who train. Dreamers say, one day. Trainers say, day one. Dreamers talk, trainers do. Dreamers make mood boards, trainers make moves. Dreamers are always preparing. Trainers are already sweating. It's harsh, but it's true. You either work or you don't. There is no halfway. There is no kinda committed. You can't sort of build something great. You either show up when it's boring, painful, hard, or you stay stuck. So ask yourself the only question that matters. What are you willing to do when nobody's watching, when nothing's working, when everything in you wants to stop? Because that's when it counts. That's when the separation happens between those who want it and those who become it. Self-pity feels safe. That's the trap. It's warm, familiar. It makes you feel seen, validated, even justified in doing nothing. When life hits hard, when things fall apart, when you've been hurt, overlooked, underestimated, it's tempting to curl up in that corner of your mind where the world is always unfair and you are always the victim. It gives you a reason to stop trying, a reason to stay still, a reason to wait for someone else to come fix it. But here's the brutal truth. Self-pity is a prison. And the worst part? You're the one holding the key and still refusing to unlock the door. You are not a prisoner of your circumstances. You are a prisoner of your excuses, of the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't, why you won't, why you're stuck. Everyone's had their heart broken. Everyone's been let down. Everyone's been tired, broke, afraid, confused. You are not alone in pain, but what separates people is what they do after the pain. Some stay stuck, reciting the same wounds like a script. If they hadn't left, if I had more support, if I hadn't failed before. That story feels real, and it was real. But you can't rewrite your life by rereading your trauma. You can't heal by replaying pain. At some point, you have to make a decision. Stay loyal to the past or start building the future. Because life's not fair. It never was. You might have started further behind. You might have gotten hit harder than others. But guess what? That still doesn't mean you get to stop. Hardship is not a hall pass for hopelessness. You either let it shape you or you let it shrink you. You think you're stuck because of your situation, but most of the time you're stuck because of your mindset. You're not trapped by the challenge. You're trapped by the thoughts about the challenge. You're repeating why me instead of asking what now? Why me? Keeps you frozen. It puts the blame everywhere else. It keeps you in a loop of anger, of grief, of guilt. But what now breaks the pattern. It puts the power back in your hands. It tells the world, I might be down, but I'm not done. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's not about ignoring the pain or pushing down the emotion. It's about refusing to stay buried in it, about choosing to rise even when it still stings, about picking up the pieces and saying, let's go again. Everyone gets knocked down. Not everyone gets up. That's the difference. Not talent, not luck, not circumstance. Just that some people get up over and over and over again. So, if you're in pain right now, if life feels unfair, if you've been sitting in the dark waiting for someone to care, hear this. Nobody's coming to save you, but you don't need saving. You need to stand. You need to stop replaying the damage and start writing the comeback. You need to stop nursing the wound and start moving anyway. Pain is real, but so is power. And the moment you stop feeding your excuses, you start fueling your potential. Self-pity might feel good in the moment, but it will steal your life if you let it. Don't let it. Stand up, wipe your face, and whisper to yourself, we're not staying here. Because the person you're becoming doesn't live in that prison. They broke out, and they kept moving. Drama is loud. Discipline is quiet. Drama wants attention. It needs people to validate, to sympathize, to understand your struggle. It thrives on chaos, the highs, the breakdowns, the outbursts. Drama wants to be seen suffering. But discipline just works. It doesn't talk. It doesn't explain. It doesn't post. It gets up early, trains in silence, builds quietly, fails privately, and gets back to work. Again and again and again. Discipline doesn't need to be understood. It needs to be undeniable. The world is noisy, and most of that noise is drama. People arguing, complaining, venting, performing. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a reason. Everyone's got a but. I would have, but I tried, but I want to, but drama uses emotion to dodge responsibility. But here's the hard truth. Nobody cares about your excuses. Not in the real world. Not when it comes to results. Not when it comes to who shows up and who doesn't. The world doesn't respond to potential. It responds to proof. And proof is built in the quiet. See, discipline doesn't care if you had a bad day. It doesn't care if you're misunderstood, overlooked, stressed, or scared. It's not waiting for someone to pat you on the back and tell you it's okay to try again tomorrow. Discipline shows up today, every day, no matter what. That's what makes it powerful, and that's what makes it rare. You say you want to lead? Then manage yourself. Because leadership isn't about titles. It's about emotional stability. It's about self-command. When you stop reacting to everything, your mood, your past, their opinions, and start responding with purpose, that's when everything changes. Self-leadership means you don't need motivation to move. You don't need approval to stay focused. You don't need applause to keep going. You've trained your mind to lead your body. You've trained your habits to lead your emotions. That's real power. That's what separates people who make noise and from people who make progress. Stop waiting for others to understand your grind. They won't. It's not their job. It's yours to keep going when they doubt you, to stay sharp when they mock you, to be consistent when they're inconsistent. Because your life doesn't change when they get it. It changes when you get it. And decide to stay locked in anyway. Let the world be dramatic. Let them post. Let them panic. Let them quit. But you build. You repeat. You master the mundane. You make peace with being misunderstood because you're too busy becoming undeniable. Discipline isn't glamorous. It doesn't trend. It doesn't scream. It whispers. And if you learn to listen, to trust it, to follow it relentlessly, it will take you places drama never could. So next time you're tempted to explain yourself, to justify your pain, to beg someone to understand your grind, don't. Go work. Be so locked in that even your silence echoes with results. Because the truth is simple. The loudest one in the room is rarely the one leading it. Be quiet. Be disciplined. Be undeniable. Success is born in silence, not in front of cameras, not with applause, not with followers double-tapping your hustle. Success begins in the cold, in the quiet, when nobody's watching and nobody cares. The silent days. Those early mornings when the world is still asleep and your alarm is the only sound. When you wake up and the room is dark and there's nothing pushing you but your own conviction. When you lace up your shoes and step out into the cold, not because someone's waiting on you, but because you promised yourself. This is the grind no one sees. Empty gyms, long runs with no music, reps with no one cheering, writing pages that no one reads, practicing moves that no one applauds, editing footage that might never go viral. There's no instant gratification here, no dopamine, no spotlight, just effort, pure and raw. These are the moments that break most people, not because they're weak, but because they're addicted to being seen. They need feedback, they need applause, they need recognition to validate the work. But the ones who win, the ones who go the distance, they train without a stage, they work without witnesses. They show up because they've built something more powerful than motivation. They've built a standard, and that standard doesn't care if there are lights or likes or validation. It only cares if you kept the promise. Nobody sees the hours you put in after everyone else goes home. Nobody sees the times you showed up to practice when your body was screaming to quit. Nobody records the moments you cried in frustration, sat in silence, questioning if this was worth it, then wiped your face and got back to work. That's the grind, not the posts, not the flashy edits, not the highlights. The grind is repetition without recognition. It's growth without guarantees. It's progress without permission. That's where warriors are made. In the gym when it's freezing. In the room when your friends are partying. In the kitchen when you prep another meal instead of ordering fast food. In the study sessions when no one is watching. In the journaling, the meditation, the healing. When there's no one clapping and no one posting it for you. Discipline in the dark is what separates the real ones. Because when it's silent, when no one's asking for more, when you could quit and no one would even notice, and you don't, that's when you start becoming dangerous. You don't need cameras. You need commitment. You don't need an audience. You need accountability to yourself. The work you do when no one's watching is the most honest version of who you are. Not the you on stage, not the you on stories. The real you, the one showing up day after day with no guarantee of success, only the belief that it will come if you do. Because here's what nobody tells you. Success is boring. It's quiet. It's lonely. It's inconvenient. But it's also beautiful. Because when it hits, when the results finally show, when the world starts to notice, you'll know you earned every inch of it. Not because you posted about it, but because you stayed through the silence. That silence, it's the forge. It's where your mental toughness gets built, where your identity sharpens, where your obsession becomes precision, where your goals stop being dreams and start becoming inevitable. So the next time you feel invisible, good, stay there. That means you're working in the right space. That means you're not dependent on approval. That means you're building something real. Let the others talk. Let the others post. Let them perform. You grind in the dark, in the silence, in the discipline. Because when the lights finally come on, you won't need to act ready. You will be. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Denzel Washington didn't just say those words, he lived them. Denzel's standard is not about being famous. It's not about red carpets or awards. It's about excellence, repeated with such intensity and precision that it becomes second nature. It's about walking into every room, rehearsal, stage, or set, with the mentality that you are responsible for what happens next. That's the difference between good and great. Good waits for direction. Great becomes the direction. Denzel's life isn't a story of ease. He came from challenge, from rejection, from humble beginnings, but he never let those things define him. He used them. He sharpened his craft when no one was clapping. He studied, repeated, failed, repeated again, until what once felt impossible became inevitable. That's craft obsession. That's what it takes. The standard he holds isn't set by circumstance. It's set by commitment. He doesn't wait for perfect conditions to give his best. He brings his best, no matter the conditions. That mindset separates amateurs from professionals. And part of his greatness is how he carries personal responsibility. No blaming, no deflecting, no excuses. He doesn't just memorize lines. He studies human nature. He builds depth. He respects the work. He honors the craft and the people who came before him by preparing like it's life or death. And why? Because he knows this. When you stop caring about being seen and start caring about doing the work, the results take care of themselves. When you live by internal standards, not external validation, your focus sharpens. When you stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, did I give my all? You become unstoppable. That's the standard. You don't half show up. You don't give effort based on how you feel. You don't need reminders to be excellent. It's your default setting. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being accountable to yourself, to the gift you've been given, to the opportunity you create by refusing to settle. Greatness has a tone, and it's quiet. It doesn't brag. It doesn't chase praise. It executes. Denzel has said, do what you have to do what you want to do. That's not a cute phrase. That's a code. Sacrifice now, train now, study now, stay late now. So when the moment comes, you're already ready. That's what greats do. They assume the burden of preparation long before success shows up. They don't chase outcomes. They master process. They don't need permission. They grant it to themselves. So if you admire Denzel, don't mimic the surface. Mimic the standard. Don't imitate the success. Embrace the struggle. Don't wish for the results. Adopt the responsibility. That's how greats are made, not in ease, but in effort, not in talent, but in training, not in waiting for the moment, but in becoming the moment. So ask yourself, are you waiting to feel ready, or are you building so that you already are? That's the standard. And once you hold it, nothing else is acceptable. Nobody sees the early mornings. Nobody claps for your effort when it's invisible. They don't post about your struggle. They don't notice your sacrifice. Because in this world, only outcomes matter. They only care when you win. Until then, work. That's not bitterness. That's reality. You can cry about it or you can accept it and let it push you harder. The world doesn't stop to applaud your potential. It doesn't slow down because you've been trying. People are too busy watching the scoreboard, not the practice sessions. They won't notice your preparation, your discipline, your hunger until the results show up. And that's okay. That's not a reason to quit. That's the exact reason to keep grinding, because this process is not for them. It's for you. You might be misunderstood right now. People might mock your effort, laugh at your goals, doubt your decisions. But guess what? That's all just noise. When the result shows up, the same people will go silent. Success has a funny way of rewriting the story. The same actions that looked extreme, they'll call them visionary. The same discipline they laughed at, they'll call it genius. The same silence they mistook for weakness, they'll say it was focus all along. That's why you don't need validation. You don't need them to clap. You need proof. Proof you earned, proof you built. And that proof comes through the work they'll never see. Don't explain your grind. Don't justify your effort. Just stay locked in, stack your reps, sharpen your mind, refuse to be emotionally swayed by people who don't carry your weight, because in the end, nobody remembers the excuses. They remember the results. So stop worrying about being understood. Start becoming undeniable. Let the outcome speak, loud enough to silence every doubt. Until then, work. You want strength? You earn it through struggle. That's not just a saying, that's the blueprint. There is no growth without pain, no transformation without tension, no strength without suffering. You want a better life? It's going to cost you, not just in time or energy, but in discomfort, in doubt, in sweat, in silence. Pain is part of the process, and the ones who make it, they don't avoid it. They embrace it. Most people break because they run. The moment discomfort shows up, they panic. They quit the workout when it burns. They abandon the dream when it drags. They run back to the familiar the second the road gets steep, and that's why they stay stuck. But you train in it. You see pain not as punishment, but as proof. Proof that you're pushing. Proof that you're stretching beyond your limits. Proof that you're not living life on mute. The pain is a signal, not to stop, but to lean in. It means the old version of you is dying, and the new one, it's being born under pressure. You don't become strong by cruising. You become strong by enduring, by staying in the hard moment a little longer, by walking through the fire and realizing it didn't kill you, it forged you. Pain isn't weakness. Weakness is avoiding it. Weakness is staying soft when life demands grit. Strength comes from struggle. And if you're struggling, good. That means you're in the right place. That means you're alive. You're building. You're moving towards something real. So next time the pain hits, don't flinch, don't run, breathe, dig in, keep going. You're not here for comfort, you're here for change. And change always demands a price, so pay it, gladly, repeatedly. Because on the other side of that pain is the version of you that doesn't break, doesn't back down, and doesn't beg for easy. That's how strength is earned, and you're earning it every single time you refuse to quit. Excuses are addictive. The more you make, the easier they get. And before you even realize it, they're no longer just reasons. They become your identity. You stop being someone who just had a rough day and become someone who always has a reason why they can't move forward. That's how dreams die. Not in one big moment, but in 1,000 tiny justifications. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll start when things settle down. I'm just not feeling it today. These aren't facts. These are stories. And you've been telling them so long, you started believing them. But if you don't kill these excuses, they'll kill your progress. And worse, they'll kill your potential. Here's the raw truth. Everyone's tired. Everyone's busy. Everyone has problems. But only a few decide not to let those things define them. The rest, they stay stuck, comfortable in the loop, addicted to their own limitations. You think your excuses are protecting you, but really, they're imprisoning you. They give you a way out, a back door, an escape hatch from the pain of growth. But every time you take that exit, you trade progress for comfort. And comfort never built greatness. Ask yourself, what's the price of staying stuck? What's the cost of another month, another year, telling the same story? What does it steal from your future, your health, your confidence? You have two choices: protect the excuse or protect the goal. You can't do both. So kill the lie, own your time, own your energy, own your decisions. And if you fall short, fine, fall forward. But stop giving your power away to excuses that only exist to keep you small. Because the more you make them, the more they make you. And you weren't built for that version. You were built to break patterns, not repeat them. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. That sentence, it's freedom, it's permission, it's power. Because somewhere along the way, you were taught that if it's not perfect, it's not worth doing. That if you don't feel 100%, look 100%, perform 100%, you shouldn't bother. But that's a lie, a dangerous one, because it keeps too many people paralyzed, waiting on flawless conditions and wasting their potential in the process. Here's the truth. Progress is messy. It's crooked lines, it's awkward starts. It's showing up to the gym tired, lifting less than last week, but lifting anyway. It's writing a paragraph that sucks, but writing anyway. It's launching the idea, making the call, taking the first step. Even when you feel unsure, unclear, or unready. Because even bad reps move you forward. Even slow steps stack. Even clumsy action builds momentum. The real power isn't in perfection. It's in movement. Every master you admire, they began in the same chaos. They stumbled. They second-guessed. They failed in front of small crowds, in quiet rooms when no one was clapping, and they kept moving. That's the difference. Not that they always got it right, but that they never let getting it wrong stop them. You need to stop waiting for the ideal version of you to show up. Start with who you are, messy, flawed, human, but moving. Because when you move, things shift. You gain clarity, you build skill, you silence doubt. You create evidence that says, I'm not stuck, I'm building. And even if it's ugly, it's yours. You earned it. Take pride in the process, in the sweat, in the setbacks, in the days you didn't want to do it but did it anyway. That's what mastery is built on. Not ease, but effort. Not clean lines, but consistent pressure. Not motivation, but motion. So if you're waiting for it to feel good, stop. If you're waiting for the perfect plan, let it go. Start now, start small, start messy, but start, because the power isn't in the perfect move. It's in the next move, and the next, and the next. Motion compounds, and messy motion, that's still motion, with muscle behind it. Don't reward yourself for showing up once. Earn your respect. That line might sting, but it's meant to, because we live in a culture obsessed with celebrating effort before it's earned. You went to the gym once, took one cold shower, posted one video, good. That's the baseline. That's the bare minimum. That's not legacy, that's a warm-up. One good day means nothing. Anyone can be great once. Anyone can show up when it's fresh, exciting, or convenient. But discipline? Discipline is about showing up again, and again, and again, until nobody questions whether you're serious because you've already proven it. Stop handing out trophies for trying. Stop taking victory laps when the war hasn't even started. You don't need a treat for doing what needs to be done. You need repetition. You need hunger. You need standards. Stay grounded. Stay building. Because the goal isn't to feel proud after one day of effort. The goal is to become someone who doesn't even need to celebrate daily wins, because showing up is simply who you are. So no, you don't deserve a break yet. Not until consistency has replaced chaos. Not until discipline has replaced drama. Not until your actions are so automatic people stop asking if you're serious, because your life already answered it. Keep working, keep moving, earn your own respect, and then keep going. Talk less, prove more. It's time to shut the noise off, not just the world's, but your own. You don't need to explain your dreams anymore. You don't need another strategy session, another planning journal, another round of overthinking. You need to move, then move again and again, because action is the only answer. You say you want it? Good. Show it. Not with words, not with hype, not with some carefully curated morning routine post, with reps, with sweat, with silence. Because the loudest people usually have the least to show. The ones who actually build, they're too busy working to announce it. You don't need another YouTube clip. You don't need more motivation, more insight, more research. You need motion, the messy kind, the unpretty kind. The kind where your legs are shaking, your mind is doubting, but you're still moving forward. Let everyone else keep talking. Let them keep posting quotes and plans and someday goals. You, be the one who's already doing it. Not for claps, not for credit, but because you're done negotiating with potential. You don't owe the world a perfect explanation. You owe yourself the execution, so cut the noise, cut the debate, cut the performance, doctor, then do again. Then again, until the work speaks so loudly, you don't have to say a single word. The version of you that doesn't quit, that's the one who wins. Transformation isn't born in comfort, it's forged in the fire, in the setbacks, in the silence, in the struggle that most people run from. Every time life hits, you're given a choice. Shrink back into who you were or fight for who you're becoming. And that fight, that's where the shift happens. That's where identity is carved. Not in a moment of hype, but in the repetition of hardship. Most people want the reward without the resistance. They want growth without pain, results without pressure, change without challenge. But the truth? You cannot build a stronger version of yourself without walking through the fire that burns away your weakness. You can't earn resilience without first being tested. You can't become relentless without first feeling like quitting and choosing not to. The fire is necessary. It strips you down to your core. It removes the fluff, the ego, the excuses, and what's left, that's the real you. The version that doesn't fold under pressure. The version that doesn't need perfect conditions. The version that keeps showing up long after most people have walked away. That's the version the world respects. That's the version that builds something unbreakable. This isn't about feeling better. That's a luxury. This is about becoming better, harder, wiser, hungrier, sharper. You don't evolve by watching from the sidelines. You evolve by stepping into the flames and refusing to burn out. You want power? Get in the fire. You want purpose? Endure it. You want change? Then become the person who never leaves the arena. Because in the end, the wins don't go to the talented or the lucky or the loud. They go to the one who's still standing when everyone else gave up. And that version of you, they're built right here, right now, in the fire. Nobody cares if it's hard, but you better care enough to show up anyway. That's the truth, the raw, unfiltered reality. You're not entitled to support. You're not guaranteed applause. The world doesn't owe you encouragement just because you're trying. Life won't slow down because you're struggling. The people around you, even the ones who love you, are too caught up in their own battles to carry you through yours. And that's not cruelty. That's just life. So what now? Do you wait? Do you whine? Do you crumble under the weight of not being seen? Number you rise. Because even if nobody else cares, you must. You have one job: to keep showing up. Not when it's easy, not when the stars align, but when it's messy, when it's dark, when every part of you wants to fold. That's when it matters most. That's when your character is built. That's when your future is watching, asking silently, "Can I count on you yet?" This isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving you right, proving that you can finish what you start, that your actions speak louder than your doubts, that your habits are louder than your hype. You are not a victim. You are a weapon, a force being sharpened by resistance, by repetition, by relentless effort. You don't need sympathy. You don't need someone to believe in you. You need proof. Proof that you are who you said you'd be. Not just on your best days, but on your worst ones too. They don't owe you belief. They don't owe you respect. They don't owe you anything. But you owe yourself everything. You owe yourself the pain, the process, the persistence. You owe yourself the proof that you can become someone unrecognizable to the version of you that used to quit. So next time you want to break, to complain, to stop, remember, nobody cares, but you should. Because when the dust settles, when the excuses fade, when all the noise dies down, there's only one person left to answer to, and that person is staring back at you in the mirror. Make them proud.